So Elon Musk was retweeting this out from Brendan Carr. It's over at the FCC. Brendan says, the FCC welcomes and now seeks comment, so they want your feedback, on the SpaceX application for orbital data centers. And we've talked about this before on the channel. Elon Musk's plan is 1 million data centers in space. And yes, that is actually his plan. 1 million data centers in space. And you got your buddies over at the FCC, and they present to the public, hey guys, we're going to get 1 million data centers in space. What do you think? Please share, right? The proposed system would serve as a first step towards becoming a Kardashev 2 level civilization and serve other purposes according to the applicant being Elon Musk. And they got this big public notice again from the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. And this is such a bizarre timeline that we're on. You know, if you look back at the recent season of South Park, who Brendan Carr is actually featured in, but the recent season of South Park is basically a documentary, or you could also call it a fortune teller, a forecast of our timeline. Like, did they get the script to our timeline somehow? And when you look at our recent market bubble, and we talked about this the last couple of days on the channel as this tech talks have been taking a dive, Bloomberg added it up. They say $1 trillion tech wipeout ensnares all stocks in AI's path. Okay. So you have the AI bubble on top of the crypto bubble. And Elon Musk is like, you know what? I got to get in this stuff before the bubble pops. So we better get those 1 million data centers approved. Then I can start applying for government contracts. And I got all my buddies to give me all that stuff. And then he wants to bend the rules. Seriously, this just came out from the Wall Street Journal today. Nothing surprising anymore. You kind of expect this stuff, but it's like stuff I wasn't even necessarily expecting this quickly, because we just heard the rumors that maybe SpaceX is going to merge with XAI, basically Twitter, or they're going to merge with Tesla. Like, we just heard rumors about this like for the first time. Like, dang. And then suddenly it happens, and now we're learning. I'll read it. SpaceX seeks early index entry as prepares massive IPO. So they want to go public, and they want to get into the, say, S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 as quickly as possible. They want to get into those, basket of stocks to where if you buy the market, essentially, which a lot of people do for retirement and such, that the money will keep a flow into them. And I think Elon Musk's got some really, pressing money needs or capital needs, because Twitter, I think it's a big loser for them. XAI, we know they burn. It's been the reports, at least, they burn like something around $1 billion a month in that nature, which is pretty significant. And it may go up. Maybe he's got bigger plans to yet spend more. And so then you got to go, okay, how can I get the grifter going and such? And I think everyone's looking for a cash out. Let me read about this thing. So again, they want to change the rules to get SpaceX into the S&P 500 sooner and basically get it that everyone is buying, basically. Elon Musk SpaceX is seeking an early boost for shares after the rocket and satellite business makes its stock market debut this year. Okay. So they want to join the key indexes sooner than normal. Companies typically must wait several months or a year after their public debut. But Musk is like, you know what? We don't got much time left. Midterms are coming. Right? Seriously. It's so obvious. Like they got to hurry this along while Trump is still in office and not a lame duck, and while the Republicans still have Congress so they can, get all these government contracts to Musk or whatever. I'm telling you guys, you can see it. It's like Wall Street Journal is covering the business aspect of it. They don't touch the politics, but we can all kind of see what's going on here. It says, so, right, Musk then wants to gain inclusion in a major index such as the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100, right? Inclusion unlocks access to retail and institutional capital from funds, particularly those mimicking the performances of indexes that have to hold the companies in the index, right? So forced buying, in a way you could call it. Usually you want companies that are stable and liquid enough, right? So that's why you don't necessarily like let in new publicly traded companies in right away. But I guess they want to change it to like, hey, a couple weeks public, welcome to the index. Right? And that's seriously what they're talking about. It says SpaceX hopes to skirt traditional rules. Forget traditional rules. We got to change the rules because we're in a whole new era, guys. We're in Elon Musk and AI era. I mean, we got to, make it to make the markets adapt to the modern, needs, I guess, of people like Elon. SpaceX hopes to skirt the traditional rules in an effort to bring liquidity, it's all about the money, to its shareholders sooner as part of its planned IPO. Policy changes that would fast track its entry into major indexes. And that was really interesting too. They were talking about maybe changing the lockup period so then basically Elon Musk could dump stock right away. I wonder if he's got money problems or something. And I'll read it. It says, investors and advisors to companies planning to go public this year are concerned not only about initial trading, but also that the standard 6-month lockup period, which prevents early investors, so like your Musk and other people, right, executives, et cetera, from selling their stocks. So maybe they're going to change rules on entry into the index funds and also to change rules on the lockup period. This is actually really, really significant because if you put this all together, that means theoretically, if you have gamed the system, you can get a whole bunch of fly-by-night companies, tapping into these capital markets, getting into the S&P 500 or whatever, like in ways that shouldn't, they shouldn't go in there that soon. I think it should be obvious. You want stability at these things. You don't want just fly-by-night companies. On top of that, and you got to put this all in context, right? Recently, we're finding out Elon Musk is in the Epstein files, right? More extensive than we originally thought. And usually when you're in these things, like it's not good. I want to make it clear, it's not good. And I know most channels out there these days, you focus on all the details of the Epstein stuff. And I'm sure if you want to go through that, you can. And I know what it is. I saw it. I don't just need to talk about it every day on my channel and like the exact details, but it's not good to be associated with this stuff. Already people are stepping down. This just came out a few hours ago. Brad Karp to step down as Paul Weiss chair after Epstein revelations. You're finding out about issues over at Goldman, right? Top Goldman lawyer referenced Jeffrey Epstein, Russians in email. But basically there's a collection of people, Elon Musk and, Donald Trump's and these kind of people, Wall Street, et cetera, really high net worth type people were all involved with this stuff. And I'll just say these are the people who run the show. I'll just make it in the most simplest terms. They run the show and they game the system, okay? Easiest way to understand it. And if you've been following along to recent U.S. markets, recent U.S. economy, if you're old enough, you remember the great financial crisis, right? The real estate crash, basically. Kevin Warsh channels Alan Greenspan an AI productivity bet, okay? So this guy's like, easy way to describe it is like, you know what? I really like Alan Greenspan and I like his like the way that he vibes with the markets, And it's kind of interesting that they were kind of floating this out there, vibing with the market stuff. Because depending on who you ask, and when you go back in history, everyone has different opinions on this stuff. But as I said, depending on who you ask, you could argue Greenspan was one of the key players into setting us up into the great financial crisis by keeping interest rates too long. But it's not just him alone, but just the whole system to where you deregulated too much and just too much crazy, borrowing and deregulation. And the way that these kind of people think, be it your Elon Musk or whoever, is move fast, break things, and if things go really, really bad, we'll just get a bailout from the government, right? But things go really, really bad on Wall Street, we'll get a bailout because we're too big to fail. And anyone who remembers this stuff, and this is really key to understanding the USA, like it depends on which side of it you're on, but I'll just tell you guys, the 99.9% of us are all on the same team here, for reals. It's only that top 1% are basically screwing everyone else. So just in most basic terms, because it's essentially they're playing with fire here. And can the U.S. economy, survive this? What do you want to call it? We'll just say reckless management of our system. Can it survive it again? I'll read a little bit, and you can hear what I'm saying. Kevin Warsh, the former Federal Reserve governor who Donald Trump has nominated to head the U.S. Central Bank, right? So nominated to be the Fed chair. Usually they get through, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. He may not, but I give it a high chance that he gets through. That'd be through the Senate. Like other candidates in the race to succeed Jay Powell, claimed the American interest rates ought to be lower, right? Cut those rates, get the borrowing going, keep liquidity free. A big reason why, Warsh says, is an AI boom. We're all talking about AI, right? That he believes is, quote, the most productivity enhancing wave of our lifetimes, past, present, and future, leaving the Fed space to cut rates without stoking inflation. So let's keep cutting. Let's get the money going. And here is the key. They're talking about what, kind of things that he said here. The Fed nominally believes he can afford to take a chance on those productivity gains in the same way former Chair Alan Greenspan did in the 1990s. Greenspan believed, based on anecdotes and rather than esoteric data, so stories, believe in the stories, that we weren't in a position where we needed to raise rates, Warsh said, okay? This is the interview Warsh gave. As a result, we had a stronger economy. We had more stable prices. So that's why this sort of key line here where they're talking about Warsh is kind of go along with the Alan Greenspan vibe. And that's, remember, the 2008, great financial crisis stuff, is because I've seen it in like all the financial news. It's sprinkled in there. If you pay attention to this stuff, it's all about, liquidity. How can we get the banks borrowing, or lending is a better way to say it, lending to everyone. How can people like Elon Musk figure out ways to make sure they can cash out, get his grifter going? And a lot of this stuff may never actually work, right? What is this here? SpaceX and buying XAI. And then they're floating out to the public, hey, what do you guys think about these, data centers in space? This is so stupid. And then it's really that dumb. And really, when you look at what the Trump's doing today, because this is just coming up this morning, Trump administration to make it easier to fire 50,000 federal workers, okay? And a lot of things that the Trump wants to do, and you can read this whole thing, but I'll just give you a basic gist of it, is like they really want loyalty. It's been like that at the Pentagon. It's been like that with the federal workers. Sometimes they'll add like these really bizarre questions, which a lot of stuff that Trump does is illegal, to be frank, but like kind of loyalty kind of stuff, right? And if they feel like you're not loyal, or if you feel like that you should do a proper job for the American people, they want you out, right? And the more that you weaken our watchdogs, the more that you remove regulators, and then if you get your people all in place to go basically, pre-2008 kind of world, maybe it'll be great for a year or two, but you're going to overheat the system and things are going to melt down. And again, these people all think, well, move fast, break things, don't hold back productivity, don't hold back, how awesome we're all going to be. But it's not going to work out. I'm just telling you guys, because as we talk about several times on this channel, let's say AI, for example, makes one person more productive, but that means maybe 3 other people don't have jobs, theoretically, if it works, right? And there's a lot of debates of whether if it ever will work, because many people in the channel, because everyone's in a different industry, when you guys watch this, some people are in software, some people are in consulting, other people are in construction. Everyone has a different point of view on what they think this AI stuff means. But what I keep hearing from a lot of people, though, it's just not ready yet, right? My opinion on this stuff, I think there's some things that it can be used for, but is it going to be this massive money-making scheme that I think it is, and investing all this money, which all these like major real problems over, say, social ramifications, I think aren't taken into consideration enough. And then when you look at the people at the top, be it your Trumps, and now Warsh is talking about Greenspan stuff, and again, taking us to like a 2008 type of crash. It's really ugly out there. And then it becomes really obvious then when you see how, Musk is trying to pull the levers of government to get on his side. So the FCC thing is just now like he's rushing this stuff. You can see it. What do you think about my 1 million satellites in space? And now he's like, hey, I got to get into that index as soon as possible. I got to go public as soon as possible. And you know what? We gotta make it so we can sell our stock as soon as possible. Forget about those lockup periods. We got to change the laws there. So this is what's going on right now. I just want to tell you guys the truth on this stuff. It is important. I understand that the average person, they won't pay attention to stuff. They don't think it's that important. But this is why life doesn't get better in USA. I'm being frank with you. This stuff here, all the stuff we're talking about today with the money situation, this is the real money right here. Like this is the economy right here. And it'll barely get covered in most of the mainstream. This is more of the financial stuff, but this stuff will have direct impacts on your life. That's what I have to say about that. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. I hope this is useful and helpful. Please be careful out there, and I'll catch you all in the next video.